Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie, and I just wanted to give you a heads up on what we're talking about today. I am chatting with Catharine Arnston, the founder and CEO of ENERGYbits, ENERGYbits.com, and we are going to talk about real food nutrition and how it can help you in so many ways. We're talking about Spirulina, which has a high protein, improves energy, satisfies hunger, great for intermittent fasting, builds your skin and hair, and is also pre-workout fuel that you can use and fills in those nutritional gaps. Then their other product is more focused on recovery bits, and they have Chlorella, and Chlorella is really great. I have my clients take it when they go into the sauna, when they go do a detox protocol, when we're working on the gut health or pathogens, whatever might be going on. But everyone has toxins in their environment and in our body. So recovery bits, I think, are great to take at nighttime. And Chlorella is what's used to remove toxins. It strengthens our immune system, which we all need to do. A great post-workout fuel and can be replacements for supplements and good get your greens. So algae tablets are what these are. ENERGYbits and recovery bits, they're algae. And algae's real food. You can call it keto, vegan, toxic-free, safe for all ages. And each algae tablet has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables without any work. So those who don't like eating their veggies, you can just take this. Or maybe you're doing carnivore and you're not doing the organ meat, like I don't like to do the nose to tail, that you can add in ENERGYbits instead. You don't have to worry about getting your green nutrition that you need by just taking these. And I don't like to chew them, I like to swallow them. So you can take 20, 30 of them or take it throughout the day and get that huge nutrition benefit you can get from it. Also, what I think is cool is the collagen, because I'm trying not to have as many supplements in my life. I think a lot of this powder, capsules, tablets is too drying on my body. And I think having more liquid supplements and then getting our nutrition from real food as taking something as ENERGYbits and recovery bits is really beneficial for at least my body. And Catherine's going to talk about algae, how it outperforms collagen, because collagen powder is a big thing. I know I use it in my drinks and throw it in when I'm baking, throw it in some of my little weekend scones that we'll use for long bike ride days that are low carb and filled with superfoods. And we'll talk about that today, as well as lots of other benefits of taking recovery bits or ENERGYbits. And for you guys, you get a 20% savings off of it. So not trying to sell anything here. I just always think there's a discount code for everything. So I always like to get a discount code for our listeners. And the discount code is the LOWCARBATHELETE, 20% savings off ENERGYbits. So you can learn more in the show notes. Put all the research links in there, and you can go to ENERGYbits.com to learn more. But try it out. The Spirulina are the energy tabs, and the recovery bits are the Chlorella. So you can chew them. Some people like to take them with sea salt and macadamia nuts, almonds. I just like to swallow them, but they're lots of nutrition. So let's dive into the benefits of Spirulina and Chlorella through algae tablets.
All right, you guys, I always say excited, but I'm always excited to podcast. It's my fun part of the day, but I realize I say that every show, but I love podcasting and I do this for fun. And it's just something I enjoy doing to share great information to you about health and longevity. And of course, I was fat loss. And so I have Catharine back on the show. It's been a couple of years from ENERGYbits. Thanks for coming on to talk shop with us and how we can be our best self.
You bet. Algae is the newest, oldest hack for fitness, performance, and recovery. And I am just so eager to get this information out. And, you know, there's reasons why we have so many Olympic athletes and triathletes and NHL players using it. And you're going to learn why today.
Yeah. So I thought we kind of break it up. We'll talk about what ENERGYbits is. We did I'll put the link, if I can find it, in the show notes from the last time. I'm going to make a note because I always say that.
And I'll give people a quick summary too, just so that they can.
Because everyone, you know, the show's called the Low Carb Athlete. So people are curious about, you know, adding more healthy fats and proteins and lowering their carbohydrates, working on being fat adapted athlete. So we're going to talk about how we can improve fat loss, and then we'll talk about performance gains and longevity. And it might probably all overlap together, but I'll try to break it up that way, how to, you know, use this for biohacking your fast, so to speak, and sleep and detoxification. So I've got all sorts of stuff written down. So it's kind of just a little overview again on ENERGYbits, and then the recovery bits, which I love for athletes even more.
Exactly. So just to give you a quick high level, first of all, algae is the oldest plant life on Earth, and it is a plant. It is not a supplement. And I emphasize that. I'm not sure how many people are actually seeing this, but I'm going to show you a picture of a algae farm. So it's no different than broccoli or kale. It's a type of vegetable. It's called a sea vegetable, although it's confusing because even though it is in the sea, this algae that we sell and that the spirulina and chlorella that you would buy at Target or Whole Foods, they're all grown in fresh water, not from the ocean. So it's grown called hydroponically in water. So number one, you're eating a food, not a supplement. So and whether you eat it, swallow it, or add it to smoothies, it doesn't matter. It's food. And as you're going to find out, that the reason why that's important is that it affects the absorption rate, which is much faster because it's food, the integration with your access of your muscles to the nutrients. So it's not just absorbed, but it knows how to use it, and it harmonizes with all the other nutrients that are in it, because algae has 40 vitamins and minerals. So you don't need to take it with anything else to improve absorption or improve efficacy. It's the complete deal. Mother Nature has already cooked this up for you in her lab, and you don't need to do anything else except get it into you. And we make it in tiny tablets. This is how they use it in Asia as well. The tiny tablets are about the size of a baby aspirin. I'm going to show you some pictures here. Spirulina is a blue-green and chlorella is a green algae, but they're very tiny. You can, each one has the same nutrition as entire plate of vegetables. But anyways, that being said, algae is a food and it is everywhere. There's two types of algae. One's called macroalgae, which is basically seaweed. It's big stringy stuff, washes up on shore. Good for you because of the fiber and the iodine, virtually no nutrition in it though. And it's only in the sea. That's why it's called seaweed. But we're talking about, that's a macroalgae. We're talking about microalgae, which is called microalgae because it's microscopic and it's everywhere, not just the ocean. It's in the rivers, the lakes, the streams, your swimming pool, the soil. It's everywhere. There's tens and tens of thousands of strains of algae, of which there are two that are most commonly known. One is a blue-green algae and the other one is a green algae, but red algae is also starting to get noticed. One blue-green algae is spirulina, and one green algae is chlorella. And these are the two that are harvested in large scale farms for human consumption. And I'll get into it in a second about the difference between the two of them, but I just want to mention this and emphasize this because some of you may go to the internet and you'll see something about toxic blue-green algae closing a beach, blah, 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 and you'll be horrified and you think, oh my God, the stuff I'm putting in my body is toxic. No. Yeah, yes, if it's from the ocean, because that stuff is toxic, because the ocean is toxic. The algae, but as I said, the algae we sell and that most people sell, spirulina and chlorella, are just a strain of blue-green algae. It is not the one that's closing up your beach. By the way, poor algae gets the bum rap because algae only shows up when there's already bacteria in the water. Algae is the cleanup crew. It cleans up the bacteria. So we should actually be thanking it, not condemning it. And by the way, algae is used in every single water treatment plant in America because they filter all the water through it because it kills bacteria. So there you go. Algae is your best friend, not your worst enemy. So just to confirm again, the stuff we're talking about, grown in fresh water in farms. Spirulina, the blue-green algae, has two pigments in it, which is why it's called blue-green algae. The blue pigment is called phycocyanin and has lots of healing properties. But generally, spirulina is used and known for providing energy. Now, it's not the kind of energy you get from caffeine or sugar, which can be a rush or crash and is loaded with carbs. It's a very steady energy, and both algae have 0 carbs, ketogenic, 0 carbs. So when you're intermittent fasting, it does not decrease your ketones or increase your glucose. So you can stay in a fasted state. And because a lot of people don't know how to say spirulina or spell it, we call our spirulina ENERGYbits because it intuitively tells you what it does. It gives you kind of energy. And it does that because it has the highest concentration of protein, which we're going to talk about in a minute, in the world. It has 3 times the amount of protein as steak. Ours has 64% protein. And all of the amino acids, all the proteins already in amino acids, so they get absorbed quickly. Spirulina is also a complete protein. We're going to talk about that in a minute, which is very important because it means it has all the aminos your body cannot make. And if you don't get a complete protein, then all of your aminos can't work as well for you to build your muscle or repair, any issues in your organs or anywhere. So it's a complete protein, all 18 or 20 aminos, complete protein, and spirulina is technically a bacteria. So, which means it has no cellulose wall. This is why the Olympic athletes, the triathletes, the marathon runners, one of the reasons why they loved it so much, because it gets into your bloodstream almost instantly, and it's rapid absorption and efficiently put to work. Because all of that protein is then converted into energy because spirulina is loaded with B vitamins. B vitamins are what convert aminos into glucose and into energy. And it also is loaded with iron, which carries oxygen. Oxygen activates your brain and your muscles. It also is loaded with essential fatty acids like omega-3, boron, which helps with mental focus and synapses and coordination. So that's why spirulina has been known for centuries for being an energizing and nourishing algae. Now, just to set the tone, you won't feel like you're going to jump off a high building or race at the sound of light. You may not even initially notice the energy because it's what I call quiet energy. But if you are running or you are lifting, you will notice that you ran further or faster and didn't even had to work at it, or you lifted more. So it's a very quiet, efficient energy that works in the background. And the way we describe it is you just feel fresh. And so that's why most people take it in the morning, in the afternoon when they have a slump, definitely before a workout. Our triathletes would start with maybe 30 tablets. If you're just using it for a meal replacement or a snack, 5 or 10 tablets would be fine, 15. But if you want it for a meal replacement, 15 or 20 is better. If you're doing some serious athletics, 20 or 30 tablets. There is no upper limit because it's just food. And our NHL players, we fuel 5 or 6 NHL teams, and they've been working with us for 5 or 6 years. They put 75 spirulina tablets in their smoothie before a game. Because think about it, they need a lot of energy for those fast spurts on the ice when they're skating. And if you're doing a marathon or a triathlon, you need long, steady energy. And we have ultra runners who go like 100 miles and all they take are the spirulina algae tablets and water. We'll talk about it. Hopefully we'll get to how there's some up leveling from the algae as well when you're outside, because chlorophyll, and algae has the highest concentration of chlorophyll in the world. When you mix chlorophyll with sunlight or red light therapy, it actually recirculates the CoQ10 molecule in what's called the electron transport chain in the mitochondria. I know we're getting kind of geeky, but basically what that does is it generates ATP for you at the cellular level. It was a huge discovery about 15, 20 years ago. Chlorophyll and red light generate ATP at the cellular level. Amazing. And that sort of helped explain to me why some of our runners were getting amazing outcomes and great performance from the algae. It wasn't just the spirulina, it wasn't just the protein and the B vitamins. I think it was the combination of the chlorophyll with the light that just kept propelling them.
So that would be more like if you're taking them before you work out, you're saying. So if we talk about performance gains, timing, when to take them, and
so
how to get better outcome.
Yes, most people swallow spirulina because it is a very chewy tablet. Again, I'm going to show it to you. It's a blue-green tablet because of the high protein, and the high essential fatty acids, and it's very earthy flavored. So there's no shame in swallowing this stuff. Almost everybody does. In fact, for a while I still have a URL and stickers that say it's okay to swallow because hey, we have a sense of humor over here. So when you chew it, because it's so accessible, it literally gets into your bloodstream in seconds, but most people swallow it. So, but again, there's no cellulose wall and the protein's already an amino acid. So 5-10 minutes tops to get into your bloodstream. So I would take, if you're doing a hard workout, take 15 or 20. If you're doing a run, I would certainly take 30 if you're doing a marathon, or at least a 10K, and then carry, we sell them in large bags, but we also have them in little pouches with 30 tablets. Take a couple extra pouches with you. And maybe as you start to fatigue, pop another 5 or 10 tablets whenever you need them, because they will get absorbed quickly. Just, you'll have some water, no doubt, with you, and they get absorbed quickly. But one of the things that we heard from our athletes that they never expected was the focus that it gave them. It wasn't just a physical, athletic muscle improvement and speed and endurance. It was the mental focus. And anyone who's done endurance training knows that your focus is one of the first things that goes. And it's really hard to stay on track when you lose that. So this really helps you with your focus. And I think it's a combination of, again, all those different nutrients. Remember, there's 40 vitamin and minerals, and it's got all the electrolytes, potassium, magnesium, calcium. So, and we'll talk about recovery bits in this next, because it's the great post-workout, and it also is loaded with electrolytes. And I was also reading recently about potassium and how important it is for restoring that water balance after sports. So anyway, spirulina pre-workout, during your workout. Take as many as you need to accomplish the goal that you want to. And we were talking, Debbie and I were talking before we started about protein absorption. Mm-hmm. So here's the interesting thing about and timing of feeding and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So most of us these days are pursuing, those of us who are intelligent enough are doing intermittent fasting and low carb, pursuing a low carb diet for improved performance, both for sports and just for life in general, because it reduces inflammation, and that's what you want, to have a long life, and reduced inflammation will reduce chronic illness. Not to say, it also reduces wrinkles, it reduces, anything, it keeps your oxygen levels high. But how are you supposed to get all the protein that you need when you're eating in such short, small windows and blah, blah, blah. So that's why I love spirulina so much. I call it efficient nutrition, because your body, here's the interesting thing, your stomach can only absorb the equivalent of 10 grams of protein per hour. So, if you're eating a huge, and a wrist size of chicken is about 50 grams of protein, but, it can take days for your body to break that animal protein down into aminos, which can then be absorbed. And, they've done some studies, and sometimes you only end up with about 10% of that as amino acids, because it's taken so long to be absorbed. So a lot of people were doing casein and whey powder because it was one of they're the fastest absorbed, and pea protein is fast as well. But you can still only get 10 grams absorbed per hour. So don't spend a big honking amount of money on casein or whey or pre-protein that says it's got X number of grams of protein per scoop, because you're only going to absorb 10 grams. And if we get back to that animal protein, the fist size of chicken being 15 grams, if you end up only absorbing after 2 days 10% of it, which is, if it was 50 grams, you get 5 grams. Well, guess what? 30 tablets of spirulina is 5 grams, okay, but it gets absorbed instantly, like we're talking minutes, not days. So it's instantly. And because it's so efficient, that 5 grams of protein in 30 tablets of spirulina is almost like 30 grams of chicken. By the way, you don't have to cook these tablets. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You don't have to clean them. You literally don't even have to eat them. So you save a lot of time. It gets into your bloodstream instantly. And so it's efficient both for your own time and for your timing of your meal program and your sports. So it's high on my level of priorities.
Yeah. So let's kind of tie that together. So if we're focusing on fat loss, so people want to fast, intermittent fasting to help keep them in that fat burning state. If it's nutritional ketosis. Part 2, a lot of people are into fasted exercise, and that can be questionable depending on the type of workout. And so let's kind of tie that together with, if someone's just trying to burn fat, stay in a fasted state a little bit longer, though for athletes and people that are lean females, we don't want to fast more than 15 hours. So we want to look at 12, 15 hours overnight fast. But what we want to look at is when we are eating, how do we stay being a fat burner and not get on the highs and lows blood sugar, keep our blood sugar steady?
Right.
How do we get enough healthy fats and proteins and keep our carbs low, but still feel energy?
Right.
And not feel like you're eating all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's again why the spirulina, and we will talk about chlorella, which we call recovery bits, because it helps you recover from sports, recover from anything. But spirulina, that's why it's such a perfect solution for you. Number one, it keeps you in that fasted state because there are 0 carbs, 0 sugar. There's only 1 calorie per tablet. So let's say you had 15 tablets in the morning, or even 10 if you want. That's 15 calories. And I don't know anything, there is nothing else in the world that gives you such rich nutrition, concentrated protein, chlorophyll. Nothing in the world exists for 1 calorie. It's crazy. So number one, you're getting all the nutrients you need. And when you have the nutrients you need, number one, your satiety lasts longer. The protein and the essential fatty acids will keep the satiety level. And, if you're finding that you're hungry in, an hour, then you just didn't take enough. So, take a few more, but you're still, even if you took more, you're still in a fasted state if you haven't eaten anything else. 1 calorie per tablet. And when you get all the nutrition that your body requires, it also solves any cravings. The cravings are an indication that you are missing a particular nutrient. A classic one is chocolate, and which is high in magnesium. So the problem with dieting, I'm not a big fan of dieting. What I just think is to eat more real food, whole food, in small proportions, and timed in a way that give you efficiencies for burning calories. And that's when you have, if you can get through the morning, it's a lot easier to get through the morning with spirulina because you're not hungry and you're not going to be tired, and yet you're still in a fasted state. So when you decide to break the fast and have your meal, you'll enjoy it, and you'll be eating for pleasure, but you've already got all the nutrients you need from the algae. So,
So just to add in there that I think a lot of people I'm finding athletes, more so females, fasting too much. And the other side of it, I feel like a lot of people are having dysfunctional relationship to food because they're fasting so much because they hear the benefits, athletes and non-athletes, but then they don't know what to eat when they have their eating window. And a lot of people are doing OMAD, for example, and then they just say they're in that eating window that they overeat. They just lose control because they fasted probably too long. Yeah. And so they just binge and eat whatever they want versus what we're saying, real food in an imbalanced moderation, spreading your protein and your fats throughout your eating window.
Yeah. Well, part of that problem is you probably get into a blood sugar, fall.
Yeah.
And again, and I have very low blood pressure, and have a tendency to be very hypoglycemic, which means I cannot eat sugar at all. And every once in a while, I'm not perfect. I'll have something with sugar in it. And man, I suffer. I break into a sweat, and I have to sit down. I have heart palpitations. So thank God for spirulina, because I'll throw a few of those back, and it gets into my system so quickly. So if you are finding that you are fasting too much, take more spirulina, because it will keep your blood sugar low down. Or balance, so that you won't have that overindulgence. Or when you are about to eat, here's another tip: when you are about to have your eating, have another 5 or 10 just before your meal, and give yourself maybe a 5 or 10 minute break before you start eating, because you will already start to be satiated. So there'll be less likelihood that you will overeat. Another small tip, and I know it sounds silly, but I do it and it seems to work: use smaller plates.
Yeah, not the big giant size or big bowl.
Because when your plate is clean, and you decide you still want some more, then you have to, just be present with that moment. Are you still hungry? Or are you just in that eating automon, just keep it going kind of thing? So a lot of weight issues happen because we just overeat, and it's our society. Europeans, especially the French, they eat such small portions. So I say eat smaller, just eat on smaller plates. That alone will help you.
Yeah, for sure. How we eat is important. I always say it's how, when, why, and what we eat. So it's not just what we eat, but people just eat so fast and rush through it. And I always say that same thing. Like if you're in Europe or France or Italy, or I just was talking to someone in Switzerland, that, you take your time, and you have to, even ask for the bill when you're out to lunch in Europe, because they take so long and just let you have your time, versus us. We're just like, get to the next thing, just eat, get it out of the way.
Yeah.
So I wanted sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so, eating slowly, eating mindfully, eating on smaller plates, because eating peacefully, because you need to get into that rest stage, parasympathetic, because there's something called the vagus nerve that connects your stomach to your brain. And if you aren't eating in a peaceful situation, you're going to get indigestion. You won't absorb your nutrients. And here's a tip I read. I can't remember where I read it, but before you eat a meal, put your arms behind your head and lean back and take a deep breath, and then look to the left and look to the right. And very often what happens is that stimulates your vagus nerve, and you yawn, and that reflex calms your system, so that it puts you into that parasympathetic situation. So your digestion will be better. And it's so funny to me, because you think about it when you're either at work or whatever, our instinct when we're kind of being thoughtful about something is to put our arms behind our head, kind of lean back, and kind of, well, I don't know about that. Like, how crazy is that? It's so instinctual, but there's an actual physical outcome that is beneficial to you.
Yeah, I often have my clients and myself, my husband, before we take a pause, take 3 deep breaths in and out before you start eating. Or if you pray, give gratitude. Yeah, it's just, you feel that sense of release, like, because we get in that rush mode, especially if you're eating during the workday
or standing up. I used to be the worst person. I would stand up and inhale something, and like I'd suffer every single time. So it's like, get up.
I know.
So you don't, and that's again with the algae, you just swallow it. It doesn't have to be chewed slowly, or you don't have to do it mindfully. It just goes into your body and it does everything it needs to do. And it is so safe, at least ours is, and so easily digested that you can give it to newborns, to your grandparents, to your pets. It is so easy on your digestion. So I can hardly wait till we're bigger and we can give this stuff to people in nursing homes, because they're just eating white mush.
Yeah.
And if they weren't sick when they went there, they get sick while they're there, because how can you get healthy with white mush? Yeah. And because they don't cook for themselves and they don't look after themselves. If you have grandparents, we all do, just get them taking a couple of these tablets every day. I promise you their brain will wake up, their energy will improve, and it's effortless.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So just want to stay on track here. So fat loss, we're talking about protein, and a lot of athletes and female athletes, as we age, we're learning more the importance of eating protein. So just to review, because we often calculate, some people like Dr. Gabrielle Leon has kind of a good simple math is whatever goal weight is pounds times 1 gram of protein. So that's a little higher end. I know Ben Greenfield and other people say 0.5 times 0.8 grams of protein per body weight. So, figuring that out, then I was looking at, okay, if you're eating an 8-hour window, if you're doing a 16-8 up to 12-hour eating window, if you're doing, you said like 10 grams of protein a day, or we're looking at 20 to 30 grams of protein, eating 2 meals a day, and then having something like this, or, adding in bone broth if people eat animal products, and having more sources of protein throughout that time. I think it's a struggle for so many people to get enough protein in, because it's filling, it's satiating. So you don't want to eat more, but this is a great way to sneak in a little more, those 5 grams here and there. Yeah. And I'm not trying to selling energy bits, but just how important it is to figure out how we can get more nutrition in that eating window to help us performance and longevity, and of course, lose fat weight everyone wants.
Well, as you know, there's lots of different types of protein. Even when you're just talking about animal protein, then is it grass-fed? Is it grass-finished? Yeah. And what is your digestive tract like? A lot of people are challenged. They have leaky gut. They have all sorts of health issues. So when they say X number of, grams of protein per, whatever your weight is, that's talking in most cases, I think, about animal protein, which can take up to 2 or 3 days to absorb. That's why you need so much of it, because if you don't have the factors or cofactors, or if you have a compromised stomach lining, or if you're eating it, it slows down when you eat, the absorption rate slows down when you eat it with carbs. And so you may not end up getting as much. So there's so many factors. And I was actually looking at a lot of science about this last night, strangely enough. So, and that's why, I like the spirulina so much, is because it doesn't take 2 or 3 days. It doesn't take any days. It doesn't take any hours. It just takes minutes to get into your system. So you could live on it forever, quite honestly. You could replace it for all of your protein if you wanted. I'm not suggesting that you should, but you could if you wanted to. And it just makes your life easier, whether you're just at home in between meetings, in between workouts, going to a class, traveling. You don't have to succumb to that crappy carb stuff that's all around us. When you have this with you, it's your lifeline.
Well, it's good. It would be good for fasting. When we have people go travel on an airplane, we suggest that's a good time to fast and get on the time zone you're getting to, and then reset your circadian rhythm. But if someone feels hunger when they're fasting or traveling, that they should fast because there's nothing to eat, but take something as this on their way, and that will keep them in a fasted state. And do you still see cell autophagy if you're trying to do that kind of fast?
Well, autophagy, true autophagy really only occurs with water fasts or maybe cryotherapy. I'm not trying to sell this stuff either. I want people to trust me to tell you the truth. So, if you want real autophagy, I think it doesn't kick in for 17 hours or something, which is why the longer fasts are good. And I've tried water fast. I can't seem to get past 3 days. And that's when
that's long.
That's when
How about one day?
Yeah. So, if you can't do that long, even a 1 day is fantastic, but the true autophagy does occur when there is nothing going on, no food other than water, maybe some tea or something. Yeah. But for the rest of us who are doing intermittent fasting, which does improve weight loss, fat burning, mental health, digestive health, it improves everything else. It just doesn't do the full cleanup that you get from autophagy. Algae is your answer because you're not tired, you're not hungry, and you can stay with it. What's not to love about that?
I know. So it kind of goes into the next one on biohacking, so to speak. If we're trying to do a fasted workout, which should only be low heart rate exercise. So I'm trying to explain the difference when we're doing fasted exercise. It should be first thing in the morning, going for easy walk, low heart rate, movement training, or exercise as an easy bike ride or swim or something. So we could take these beforehand, still burn fat.
Absolutely.
And then if we are working out a little bit longer, higher heart rate, you're saying like if someone's doing a race as a marathon where the heart rate's going to be above fat burning zone, or like hockey players or cyclists, they can take this beforehand and still have some energy.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you'll see amazing performance benefits before if you take them before. Again, the spirulina before and during, and even though 5 grams doesn't sound like a lot, it's enough to sustain your muscle. I don't know what the word is, but you don't get any deterioration or you don't lose any muscle because it's very efficient. Remember, it's a complete protein.
Yeah.
And part of fat loss, and I want to segue a little bit into chlorella because it's not just the burning of calories and using ketones for your energy source instead of sugar, which is so damaging in so many ways. But your body stores toxins primarily in your fat. And so that's why I love chlorella so much. We call ours ENERGYbits because it removes toxins. For the athletes, I want to be sure you understand that one of the toxins it removes is lactic acid. So it's a chelator. It pulls out lead, mercury, radiation, alcohol, but also lactic acid. So when you are taking both of them, so the spirulina is the ENERGYbits is your pre-workout or during your workout or in the morning during your intermittent fasting. And then your post-workout, we generally recommend chlorella, which is ENERGYbits, because it will pull out the lactic acid, but it also pulls out the toxins in your cells. So when you are efficiently removing toxins from your cells, your body intuitively knows it doesn't need the fat cells any longer because the toxins are gone. So it's like, doing some house cleaning. So it probably facilitates autophagy for that very reason. And again, chlorella, which is a green algae as opposed to chlorella or spirulina, which is a blue-green algae, it is also ketogenic. It also has 0 carbs. It also has 40 vitamins and minerals. It has just slightly less protein. It's 60% protein and 64 rather than spirulina. But just like spirulina has the highest protein in the world, chlorella algae has the highest chlorophyll in the world. And I want to just talk briefly on the importance of chlorophyll on 2 things.
Yeah, while you're just getting there, just want to touch into, workout recovery. So taking this at nighttime, the ENERGYbits to help enhance recovery process while we're sleeping, as well as detoxification. And then don't let me forget to talk about cold thermogenesis and sauna for that.
Yes. So, let's keep on that thread so we don't forget about it. So as I mentioned earlier, most people take the spirulina in the morning, afternoon when they're tired or hungry, any time of day, quite honestly, with food instead of food, with meals or instead of meals, and before a workout or during a workout. Now, the chlorella, you can take any time of day as well, but it will not satisfy your hunger. It doesn't have that kind of effect. What it does is it's a wellness algae, a detoxing algae. And because your body goes through a detox and repair cycle when you're sleeping, we recommend you take it before you go to bed. You can take it any time of day. Quite honestly, I eat them all day long. They're my favorite snack. And yes, I eat them. And the chlorella actually tastes pretty good when you eat it with, I eat it with salt and vinegar, pistachio nuts or macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts, for those who are keto, really great nut for ketogenic people. It tastes delicious. It's my favorite snack. So I literally eat over 100, 150 sometimes a day. This is a main food for me. By the way, I almost never eat vegetables anymore because chlorella has 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula. It has 25 times more than chlorophyll than even liquid chlorophyll. There is nothing in the world with more chlorophyll than chlorella algae. So and chlorophyll is very cleansing. We'll talk about that in a minute. So when you take chlorella algae before you go to bed, not only do you get all the great cleansing, but you get the detox. So maybe you worked out, it'll pull lactic acid out. Maybe you had a cocktail, it'll pull the alcohol out. We're all exposed to toxins, it'll pull those out. Chlorella also has the highest RNA and DNA in the world. As you age, or at any time, but particularly when you age, your RNA and DNA gets damaged, and so it replicates in a damaged form. So this will help facilitate that. It has the highest tryptophan in the world. Tryptophan is the precursor to melatonin and serotonin. Melatonin helps you get into a deep sleep. It won't put you to sleep, but it will get you into that deep sleep. So chlorella is great for that. Chlorella also has a high concentration of vitamin K2, which pulls out excess calcium from soft tissue like your blood vessels and your skin and moves it into your bones. So it prevents osteoporosis, which is a big issue for women. And it stimulates peristalsis, also known as bowel movements. So all of these things, and there's more, wrapped into chlorella that make it the perfect thing to take before bed so that you can have an efficient detox, an efficient repair, and an efficient recovery, whatever you did that during the day. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's kept me alive. I mean, hey, I'm 60, I turned 65 last year, and I'm healthy as a horse. I have great skin, great digestion. I sleep really well. And I attribute it to the fact I take so much chlorella, and it never goes bad. That's the other thing with vegetables, and even anything that you buy, it has expiry dates. Food has expiry dates on it. And if you don't use it, you lose it. Yeah. So, it's just like muscle, right? Yeah. And algae never goes bad. I mean, we have expiry dates of 3 years, but you can keep this in your cupboard for 5 or 10 years, and it would be fine. So
just going back to a few things you said. So detoxification, I think, is huge. And I don't think a lot of people talk enough about it, especially people who are trying to lose weight. They start becoming fat adapted from a sugar burner to fat burner, get a nutritional ketosis. They don't realize that toxins are stored in your fat cells. And so when we start to lose weight, we need a type of binder.
Yes.
We need to support our liver, but then we also need support our elimination pathways to escort these toxins out of our body instead of having them recirculate. So I think this would help as a way to mitigate some of that damage you're doing when you're releasing those toxins as you're doing so great, becoming a fat burner and detoxing, losing weight, but we need to support the systems.
Yeah, you want to get rid of them. Yeah, because here's the thing, and I think it's related to that. Your body's constantly regenerating itself. Your skin, you have brand new skin every 25 days, a new stomach lining every 4 days. Your organs take 7 or 8 years, but basically every single day you are a new person, literally. Yeah. But think about it. Where does the old stuff go? So I read recently, every single day, 30 trillion cells in your body die. 30 trillion cells. That's a big number. Where do they go? Well, if you don't get rid of them, they cluster in your lymphatic nodes, in your cells, in the mitochondria, which attract bacteria, which become acidic, which causes less oxygen. So there's even more damage. I mean, it's a slippery slope. So you need to get rid of, it's not just the toxins from the outside. Those are dead cells are toxic, and you've got to clear them out. And if you don't, they contribute to your fatigue, your brain fog, your indigestion, every single issue. So that's why I love chlorella, because you take it this is not something you take just once and you're done. This is a daily for the rest of your life, and you will have a nice long life if you take it every day, because it's like giving your body a shower from the inside. You have a shower every day on the outside. But what about all the garbage that's going on in the inside? Like, we can't see it, but trust me, there's garbage in there. And if you don't take your garbage out for a couple of days, your place smells pretty bad, right? Well, so does your body. It's except what it happens is it manifests as fatigue or damaged mitochondria, or difficulty sleeping, or brain fog. It manifests in wherever your weakest DNA link is, and it's different for everybody. But chlorella is the great inclusive answer, because it gives everybody the same benefit. It clears out toxins, it renews your cells at the cellular level, and it's cleansing and healing. I mean,
So I think like you were saying to help, get the lymphatic system. So going back to lifestyle habits, how to tie these together is doing, say, a rebounder, 5 minutes, take these before rebounder. Then if you do an infrared sauna and then you do a cold shower, this would be a great way to kind of biohack the process of improving your longevity by getting rid of the dead cells and kind of cleaning out, taking the garbage out.
Yeah. Totally up level. In fact, I'm speaking at the cryotherapy conference in Dallas this March. I'm speaking at 3 biohacking conferences this year, 2, the Biohacking Congress and one Dave Asprey's in September. And because algae, both the spirulina and the chlorella, up level every single other biohack. I mean, it's its own biohack, but then it makes everything else work better. So for cryotherapy, for example, for those who aren't maybe familiar with cryotherapy, so you expose your body to very, very low temperatures for a very short period of time. And your body instinctively thinks it's in crisis. So what it does, it thinks it's dying, it's going to freeze. It pulls all the blood from your extremities into your core to preserve your organs. So what's happening is now there's a very rich amount of blood around your core so it can be healing to the core, and it causes some autophagy out in the extremities while there's, that's going on. So when you have the spirulina and chlorella, especially the spirulina, I forgot to mention, is a vasodilator. So if you take it before the cold therapy, more blood can rush into the core because the blood vessels are open. Then even more open. Then while the blood is in there, because spirulina gets absorbed so quickly and has 40 vitamins and minerals and rich protein, it's got all the nutrients to facilitate and up level the healing that's going on while it's in the core. And then when you step out of the cold, again, because of the vasodilation, you get that bigger rush to your brain and to your extremities, which cleans out a lot of the garbage that was there. And it just gives you a big physical buzz and it's very energizing. But that's why we want you to have the chlorella too, because it will then pull the toxins that have been released during that process. So we suggest taking both of them before the cryotherapy and definitely more chlorella afterwards. So it will extend the garbage collection after the treatment. So that's really cool. And then with red light therapy, I may have mentioned earlier, because both spirulina and chlorella have the highest amount of chlorophyll in the world, and chlorella has the highest. And this science paper, and we'll send you the link to it, showed that chlorophyll plus red light, either from red light therapy or from sunlight, helps the mitochondria generate ATP. So and red light therapy and cryotherapy, by the way, both reduce inflammation, help restore the mitochondria, and the red light therapy will give you that with the chlorophyll will deepen both of those healing properties and give you extra energy at the same time. So it up levels red light therapy as well.
So a couple things. I know there's, I'm in, North San Diego now, but the Restore, have you heard of them? They're opening all over. There's 5 new locations coming in San Diego. They're all over the country, but seems to be the new trend, have these new it's cryotherapy, but they have the red light therapy and
it's
sauna.
It's called Restore.
They're opening
like a clinic.
It's a franchise.
Cool.
You guys should be looking that up and selling it there. But I think that'd be great to, do because I just talked to him last weekend about doing cryotherapy because I'm not very good at these cold showers very long. And then I'm not getting one of those my zone or my Zorg, whatever the tubs are, all my podcast friends are doing. But I think it's a great way to reduce inflammation. As athletes, we're always, working hard. And I don't think people look at, so I say, our future self and our longevity process, not just performance gains right now, but what I'm doing to my body. How is it going to impact myself, my health in 20, 30 years?
Yeah.
Okay. One more thing here. 2 things. So cell autophagy and all that we talked about, but colon hydrotherapy is my other interest in trying to create a kind of a protocol for enhancing that process. So talking about like cryotherapy and the sauna, red light therapy, how that helps. But Also, colon therapy, when you're trying to reduce toxins stuck and dried up in your colon, I would be curious if, you can do something as the chlorella and help boost that process. Cause it seems like, I know I was just doing it myself, TMI, but I was having someone here do colon hydrotherapy. And like, there must be something to improve this process as everything else, like biohacking your colon cleanse.
Well, Chlorella algae, which again we call ENERGYbits, has been used for decades for IBS and Crohn's disease and colon disease because of three attributes. One, it has the highest concentration of chlorophyll that I mentioned, which is very cleansing to your colon. And when you digest, so here's the problem. Our soils are so damaged and our ozone layer is so damaged that even if you were eating vegetables, organic vegetables every day, you're not getting any amount of chlorophyll. That's why I stopped buying arugula, because it was going yellow after day 2 or 3. There's virtually no nutrition in our vegetables anymore. I am sorry to tell you this, but it's the truth. So we're missing the important healing benefits of chlorophyll. And those healing benefits are pretty powerful, because here's the thing, only about 10% of the chlorophyll actually gets absorbed in your stomach. The rest of it travels through your colon. That's why my poop and your poop, if you take as much chlorella algae as I do, will be green. But I consider it a badge of honor, because it means, it's cleaning, it's the cleanup crew in your colon, and it's alkalining. When it's alkalining, it's bringing oxygen, which kills bacteria. Otto Warburg was a German scientist in 1941 who won a Nobel Prize for discovering that cancer can only exist at the cellular level in an acidic environment. Your cells need to be slightly alkaline, 7.1. Your blood needs to be a little bit more alkaline, which is 7.34. When it becomes more acidic from either too much workouts, from lactic acid, stress, from worrying about what you're eating, acidic foods, dairy, animal protein is acidic. When it becomes too acidic, the cell becomes more acidic, which means there's less oxygen in there, which means there's more free radicals, which means there's more garbage created in the ATP process, which clutters up your cells, and they don't function as well and become damaged, and it's a slippery slope. So because chlorophyll is alkaline, it helps correct that problem even in the colon. So that's number one. Chlorella algae has been used for colon therapy forever. Chlorella also has that hard cell wall that attaches to toxins. So what's going through the colon, it's a toxin attaching to toxins. Your colon is is the garbage truck for your body. It's where all the garbage goes. And if it's not clean, and most of us don't have a clean colon, to be perfectly honest, it gathers there, and it's sort of like, if you go to an old house, maybe they've wallpapered like 25 times. It's just got layers and layers of gunk on there. So the chlorella helps start to pull away those toxins, so it will clear the colon out a little bit. And the other amazing thing, and the reason why chlorella is used for the colon, is because chlorella does have a hard cell wall. It has cellulose, it has fiber. So it feeds the bacteria in your gut who create what's called short chain fatty acids, which are necessary for gut health. And part of the gut is obviously connected to the colon. And I want to show you another image. I did this experiment multiple times. I put a bunch of spirulina in a plate with some water, and a beautiful blue color came out, dispersed beautifully through the water. And the blue is the blue pigment, which is gorgeous. But what I want you to notice is how it disperses beautifully and evenly through the water. I did the same thing with chlorella, and it didn't disperse at all. It just clumped. And I kept thinking, what is going on? Until I finally checked my science and found out that chlorophyll is a fat-based pigment. And this is another reason why it heals your cell walls everywhere, including your colon, because your cell walls need to be healthy in order for nutrients to get in and toxins to get out. And that's why healthy fats like D or omega-3 help with your reducing inflammation and cellular health, because they're fats. Chlorophyll is a fat too. So it will heal the cell wall so that more nutrients can get in, maintain the proper pH in the cell, and get rid of the toxins on the outside. So I tell people, think of chlorella and chlorophyll in particular as window washers for your cell walls, because it keeps them working. Because when your windows are dirty, you can't see out and sunlight can't get in. Well, when your cell walls aren't permeable, nutrients can't get in and toxins can get out. So the same thing works for your colon. I mean, there's cells everywhere that need to be healed, and the colon is definitely a targeted area, especially for men. They seem to have more colon cancer than women. And I will mention one thing, because I've done just about everything. I mean, because I'm in this business, right? So I did colon therapy, water treatment 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I believe in it. And I've also done coffee enemas, which coffee enemas they release the toxins that are stored in your liver. So, I mean, a lot of people get a little woozy thinking about it, but it's actually, it's not the most pleasant experience in the world. But if you are truly trying to get rid of toxins, that's Dr. Gershon, who has a facility in Seattle and in Mexico. He was the one that experimented with and really got the coffee enema concept rolling. So there's lots of other supportive therapies that you can do to help you, specifically if you have some serious issues.
Yeah. So we're just out of time. So one last question real quick, if we take supplements as chlorella, the spirulina, the green algae in the morning and green algae at night. So do we need to take fish oil? Because someone asked me that. It's like, all right, because I'm trying to do, when I'm working with people, supplement audit, I call it. Let's get rid of so much stuff, because people listen and learn, and they're taking like 20 different supplements, and I don't think we absorb most of it. So if you take something as this, do we still need omega-3 fatty acids? I say it replaces almost everything. Well, the different algae do replace different things. So spirulina, it has the higher essential fatty acids. Now, I will admit it doesn't have a lot of omega-3. It has some, but it also has another essential fatty acid, which technically is an omega-6. It's called GLA, gamma linolenic acid. And omega-6s are terrible for us if they are in processed foods, because they've been exposed to heat, which makes them rancid and inflammatory. But because our algae, when we grow it, we do not dry it with high heat. So our enzymes and our GLA is pure, and it is not inflammatory. So it behaves like an omega-3. And by the way, the only place with more GLA than spirulina is mother's breast milk. And Mother Nature, she's pretty smart. She wouldn't be putting it into mother's breast milk if it wasn't necessary. And the baby's brain doubles or triples in size in the first couple of years. That's why GLA is so important for your brain health. So the spirulina quantities are smaller than you would get in fish oil, but think of it. First of all, it never goes bad. Fish oil always goes rancid. It's almost rancid by the time you buy it. Fish oil, I don't know, everybody I know burps it up. You never burp up the spirulina. Once it's in, it stays in and it goes down. There's no repeat ever. Where do you think the fish get the omega-3 from? They get it from algae. They just consolidate in their body. And if you haven't seen the movie Seaspiracy, Netflix movie Seaspiracy, please watch it. It talks about how the commercial industry, fishing industry, is destroying the environment. And they twice recommend algae as the way to save the oceans. Once because of the spirulina, the algae being a replacement for fish oil, and it's also a replacement for fish. So it's a much safer, vegan, never expires, never goes rancid, never repeats source of omega-3. So that would be my recommendation. Also, spirulina, because it has so many other, it has more fats in it. It's a replacement for nourishing replacement for a multivitamin. It would replace biotin, CoQ10, especially if you're getting that exposure to light, because you get that, the recycling of the CoQ10 molecule. So that's why we say spirulina, the ENERGYbits, replaces multivitamins, fish oils. Oh, we didn't even talk about collagen.
Please stop taking collagen powder. It's not sustainable. It's made from melted bones and skin and tendons. They use chemicals to melt this stuff down into a soup and then into a powder. And algae has more collagen than collagen powder. Huh. And we've done this. I did a paper on it. I'll send it to you. It's got even 480% more of some of the aminos. By the way, collagen powder is not a complete protein. It does not have tryptophan. Spirulina has all of it. So algae is up levels your collagen powder 100 times, and it's sustainable. So it replaces that as well. For the chlorella, which we call ENERGYbits, because of the high chlorophyll, it's the replacement for vegetables and also recovery, any recovery fuels that you may be taking. Spirulina is also a replacement for your sports fuel. It would replace goo and gels, and those are all crappy for you anyways. They're loaded with sugar, give you stomach distress, and you don't need that ever.
Yeah, too. So great. I appreciate all of that information. We'll get all the links from your team to put in our show notes, and find a link to the last episode we did to explain even more on the other stuff we didn't get to. But I think it's just great to share that information on how real food is medicine, and how we can not have to take 30 different supplements a day, and how we can just simplify everything.
Algae simplifies your life, makes it safer, purer. It's better for you, better for the environment. And we didn't mention yet where to buy it. You can go to our website, ENERGYbits.com, ENERGYBITS, and we have a 20% discount code. The code is the LOWCARBATHLETE. No spaces between the words. It's all one word, the LOWCARBATHLETE. And it works on everything on our website. We just added our canisters. And if you don't want to buy a big bag with 1,000 tablets, we have a sample pack that you can try everything. And just before we go, I just want to say one thing. I don't want people to have sticker shock. A big bag of our 1,000 tablets is $125. But we have a quote from NASA that says 1 gram of algae has the same nutrition as 1,000 grams of fruits or vegetables, 1 to 1,000. So I did the math on the weight of our bag and came up with this calculation that 1 bag has the same nutrition as 551 pounds of vegetables. Now, at $3 a pound, that's close to $1,500, right? But think of it, it's not just the money. That's 551 pounds of vegetables that you didn't have to carry home from the grocery store, stuff into your fridge, clean, cook, or eat, all right? Yeah. So it's efficient nutrition. The algae tablets never go bad. You can take them everywhere. You can use them for anything, give them to anyone for any reason. And it will make you feel, like apparently 90 is going to be the new 40. So if we're going to live that long, you want to be sure that you're working well. Oh, awesome. And my final comment would be that to tell people, algae isn't new. It's just probably new to you. It's been used in Asia for almost 75 years. It's the most studied food in the world. It's got almost 100,000 studies about it in the NIH library, but no one's ever shared the science with the North American public until I did. So it's documented, it's safe, it's used, and things like chia seed or matcha or CBD or even collagen powder, you may not have known about them until about 5 or 10 years ago. And algae is just the next big thing. And it's documented, it's used around the world. And we don't want you to be cheated. We want you to get the same benefits, and we hope to grow it here soon.
Awesome. So great. Well, thanks so much for sharing your passion and your mission with the algae and everything you guys are doing. Keep it up and keep sharing that research. So we'll put everything in the show notes, and hopefully everyone can try it out and learn more about it from their own experiences in an =1 experiment. So I'd love to hear how everyone puts it into their schedule each day. So thank you, Catherine.
All right. Thanks a lot, Debbie.
Hey, it's Debbie. Before you go, let me tell you about this new client special I have created for you, the low carb athlete. If you are an ambitious, high-performing individual struggling to get those fat loss, performance, and longevity goals from doing all the right things you hear about on social media, podcasts, and blogs, well, let's chat. I created a new client special to assess and course correct what you are doing now for your nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle habits. This package includes 2 45-minute coaching sessions with me after I review your intake forms, reviewing your nutrition and exercise and lifestyle habits each day. So if you would like to get more results and be a high performer, let's look at what you're doing now and what we could adjust, because N equals 1 and there is not one size fits all. What we do talk about is a starting point, and then we need to adjust. Do a little more, do a little less, and fine-tune things to get results. So remember, you are unique. No one else is like you. What works for me is not going to necessarily work for you. So let's personalize your health and fitness and nutrition program. So let's schedule a discovery call. Head to my website, debbiepotts.net, and we can get started on finding the right option for you.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us to continue to grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.